Good morning, everyone. It feels good to see a lot of very eager learners here. As I see the screen flooded with comments from different schools, I assume that at this time, you are used to waking up early, and for today, you already had an early breakfast and check the gadgets if they have enough load and battery. I can feel your readiness and excitement watching your lessons discussed live. We are now in the fourth lesson of the first quarter. I know you have learned a lot from the previous topics that were discussed. This time, I will bring you to another exciting discussion about sequence signals and markers. But before that, let me introduce to you our speakers for today. We have here Ma'am Salin Romo from Tanumay West National High School, Ma'am Rosel Hardin from Parada National High School, and Sir Jason Bautista from Bagbagan National High School. To begin with, may I ask Ma'am Rosel about the learning targets of this topic?
For today's session, we will be focusing on the most essential learning competency, which is to identify and use signals that indicate coherence. Example, additive. Also, moreover, causative as a result, consequently, conditional, concessional, otherwise. In that case, however, sequential. To begin with, in conclusion, clarifying, for instance, in fact, and in addition. While these are our specific objectives, take note of sequential signals to determine patterns of ideas in a given text. Scan sequence signals or connectors to determine patterns of ideas and development.
Thank you, Ma'am Rosel. For today's discussion, we will use the strategic, localized, and interactive instructional material about sequence signals and markers, prepared by Ma'am Laarni Olga E. Osma from Karuhatan National High School. We will be dealing with the use of sequence signals or markers and interpret their relationship between sentences. But before that, our gentleman speaker has something in store for us. The floor is yours, sir.
While National Capital Region has been in general community quarantine period for several months already, gardening has been considered one of the hobbies of both men and women. Plants, pots, soil, fertilizer, and gardening tools are out in the market. Some are pricey or expensive because of the demand. That is why these ladies beside me will teach you how to make a low-cost fertilizer and insect killer in one with just 3 basic ingredients. So, take a closer look now. Ma'am Rochelle will execute the presentation and Ma'am Celine will instruct her what to do.
Are you ready, Ma'am Rosel?
Yes, I have all the materials needed for this.
That's great! Let us start. We are going to show you how to make a natural and effective fertilizer with just the use of rice, milk, and water. How are we going to do this? First, you need to prepare all the needed materials. We have here rice, milk, water, a glass jar, a spoon, a piece of cloth, and rubber bands. Second, you must measure a cup of rice and pour it inside the jar. Third, get 3/4 cup of fresh milk and put it inside a jar. However, do not put too much milk so as not to spoil the mixture. Furthermore, add 1 liter of water into the jar, then mix it thoroughly. Likewise, you need to cover it with a clean cloth and a rubber band for fermentation. Finally, let it sit for 7 days and use a strainer before you transfer it to a clean sprayer. There you have it, a homemade fertilizer and insect killer in one. Happy gardening!
Thank you, ma'am, for that very informative presentation on making natural fertilizer and insect killer in one. There are lots of ways on how you can make natural fertilizer, and the ingredients are right there in your own kitchen. Nevertheless, you need to be extra careful in choosing and mixing them. Otherwise, you might harm the plants than help them grow. I hope you learned something from what they presented. A lot of us became plantitas and plantitos this quarantine period. And I guess these ladies beside me seem to be like them.
Oh, I am also one of the plantitas, and when I get home, I'll surely prepare that fertilizer and insect killer. Anyway, how were you able to give such clear instructions to your partner, Ma'am Celine?
Well, I use sequence signals or markers.
What are sequence signals or sequence markers?
Sequence signals or sequence markers give signals on how to interpret the relationship between sentences in several ways. This will help you understand the order or events that are taking place. Likewise, sequence words are signals or signs which will tell you if the story is about to start or to end. Therefore, you can find the signals at the beginning, middle, and even at the end of the text.
Since you said that we can find these sequence markers at the beginning, middle, or even at the end of a text, do they have types or kinds? Let us hear from Sir Jason.
There are 6 types of sequence signals or markers. Let me give you the first one. It indicates chronological order or order of importance. It uses words such as first, second, to begin with, next. Let me ask you, what is the first thing that you do in the morning? Great! You wake up early. What do you do next? Very good! You brush your teeth and take a bath. Then, what's next? Yes! You wear appropriate clothes for your class. After that, what's next? Good! You eat your breakfast. Then, finally, very good! You check your gadgets and wait for your online class. Now, take a look at your answers. Do you know that we can write and see them better if we are going to use signals? Check this out. First, I wake up early. Second, I brush my teeth and take a bath. Then, I wear appropriate clothes for my class. Next, I eat my breakfast. Finally, I check my gadgets and wait for my online class. This paragraph tells us the step-by-step process of the things that you do in the morning. It is now written in chronological order using sequence markers or signals. How do you find it? Is it better than just merely saying every sentence of your answers?
Definitely. Let me give you the next type. It adds to or reinforces what has already been said. This type uses words such as furthermore, in addition, and what is more. Let us look at this sentence. The woman fainted and fell to the ground. Furthermore, she was surrounded with medics in full PPE gear. In this sentence, the first idea is the woman fainted and fell to the ground. Then, what happened after that? She was surrounded with medics in full PPE gear. The second sentence supports the first sentence or idea.
You mean the second idea strengthens the first idea in a sentence?
Yes, ma'am. That's why, in this sentence, we can see the validity of the first idea presented because it is being reinforced by the second idea in the sentence.
The third type indicates that two propositions have equal status. This type uses words such as likewise and similarly. Let us examine this sentence. Carlo is determined to graduate with flying colors. He is putting all his effort in his studies. Likewise, his parents are so supportive of him. As you can see in this sentence, the ideas presented are of equal status. Determined to graduate, putting all his efforts, and supportive parents. With these propositions, we are sure that Carlo will graduate with flying colors. The propositions here are all positive characteristics, which make the ideas equal in status.
Can we use negative proposition in this type?
Yes, you need to make all the propositions negative to make them equal in status. For example, internet connections in Luzon are so unstable. Similarly, in the most part of Visayas and Mindanao where only few towers were built, people also experience the same problem.
Moving on the fourth type, it indicates cause and effect relationship. This type uses words such as consequently, so, as a result. Let us take a look at this example. In our community, we help each other in canals. As a result, our streets are not being flooded. In this sentence, you can see that the cause is we help each other in cleaning the canals. And the result of doing such activity is streets are not being flooded. This sentence shows that the first idea is the cause and the other one is the effect. You can see clearly the connection of the two ideas, right?
Can we place the words used in this type in the beginning of the sentence?
Yes, ma'am. We can start our sentence with the result and end it with the cause. Just like this. So, for your streets not to get flooded, you should clean the canals in your community.
Furthermore, let me give you the fifth type wherein it indicates that the given proposition contradicts an earlier one. Words or phrases like conversely, on the contrary, by way of contrast, are used in this type. Let us examine this sentence. Philippines is one of the emerging markets and is the sixth richest in Southeast Asia by GDP per capita. On the contrary, many Filipino families are getting hungry each day. In this sentence, there is an exact opposition or contradiction in ideas presented. Look at the first idea. The Philippines is one of the emerging markets and is the sixth richest in Southeast Asia by GDP per capita is the first proposition. Then, it is contradicted by the second proposition, which is many Filipino families are getting hungry each day.
Now we are down to the sixth type, which indicates concession. When we say concession, we agree of or we allow something to happen. This type uses words such as nevertheless, in any case, for all that, all the same. Let us examine this example. Everyone turned out to be negative of COVID-19 after the swab testing. Nevertheless, we still need to follow health protocols. In this sentence, the speaker agrees to the first idea, but there is an agreement that they need to follow health protocols.
So in this type, even though the speaker agrees with the idea, there is still some kind of condition that they need to follow. I assume everything about this topic is clear to our learners or viewers now. To sum up, what we have gathered from our speakers today, these are the points that I have taken down. To begin with, sequence signals or sequence markers give signal on how to interpret the relationship between sentences in several ways. They have various types which indicate different things. The first type indicates chronological order or order of importance. The second type, one adds to or reinforces what has already been said. The third type indicates that two propositions have equal status. The fourth type indicates cause and effect relationships. Fifth indicates that a given proposition contradicts an earlier one. And the last type indicates concession. Let us find out if you really understand what transpired in our lesson today. Let us have Ma'am Celine to give you the instructions for the activity that she prepared for you.
Be ready with your pen and paper for this activity. I want you to complete the following sentences with the most appropriate signal markers. Choose the letter of the best answer. I'll be giving you 10 seconds for each number to do this task. For number 1, my sister was in the dentist's office for 10 minutes. Blank, I sat in the waiting room with an old magazine in my hands. The choices are A, first, B, meanwhile, and C, later. For number 2, an hour passed but there was no sign of Mike. Blank, we decided to go home. Letter A, until, B, before, and C, similarly. For number 3, the basketball coach announced, "Today, we will begin practicing for the coming match." Blank, he added, "Let's warm up first." Choices A, then B, after, and C, eventually. Number 4, blank, heat the oil in the frying pan. Then, put in all the marinated chicken pieces. A, before, B, after, and C, first. For the last number, number 5, many customers bought the delicious buko pies. Blank, all the pies were sold out. The choices are A, eventually, B, afterwards, and C, next.
Let us check your answers. Please be honest in checking your answers. Here are the answers. 1, B. 2, A. 3, A. 4, C. And 5, A. Did you get them all correct? Good job! If not, it's alright. Always remember, there's always a room for improvement.
Our distinguished speakers are now ready to answer questions from our viewers today. Please type or key in your questions in the comment box. We will be giving you 1 minute to type or key in your questions. Your time starts now. Your time is up. Let me read the first question handed to me by our moderator. The first question is for Ma'am Rosel Hardin, and it comes from 20 Reales National High School. The question is, why is it important to know and look for signal words in a text?
Thank you for that very interesting question. Signal words help us or the readers understand the relationship of ideas in a text. They also help us remember its key parts in a clear and concise manner.
Thank you, Ma'am Rosel. Now the second question from my son National High School is for Sir Jason Bautista. It says, what are some of the signal words used to show the sequence of events?
As I have discussed in the first part of our discussion, these are the words that show chronological order or sequence of events. Firstly, secondly, thirdly, to begin with, next, to conclude, and finally.
Thank you, sir, for that very clear answer. We're down to the last question from Dalandanan National High School, and this question is for Ma'am Celine. Why is it important to learn signal words?
Learning signal words is very important because these words gives hints about what is going to happen in what you are reading. They also show the connection of ideas in the text. They are like bridges that link ideas from one to another. Always remember that learning them is one of the keys for enhancing your comprehension skills.
Thank you, Ma'am Celine. I know there are still more questions left unanswered. Don't you worry because your subject teacher will answer those questions during your follow-up discussion. The activities that you need to do this afternoon will be explained by our speakers. Let us hear from Ma'am Roselle, Ma'am Celine, and Sir Jason once again.
In task 1, which is the easy task, you need to encircle the 7 sequence signals that you can find in the word pool.
In the average task, all you need to do is to match each of the sequence signals with its corresponding function.
And for the difficult task, you need to fill in the blanks with the correct sequence markers from the parentheses. Lastly, in the evaluation card, you need to fill in the blanks with the appropriate sequence marker to complete the sentences. Don't worry because you need to choose your answer from the word pool.
All right, we hope that everything is clear. Apparently, no one knows when this pandemic will end, but we are sure it's getting near. So while we are waiting for its end, education must not freeze. We need to support the effort of the city government of Valenzuela and DepEd Valenzuela's battle cry,
Ano man ang sitwasyon,
Anuman ang sitwasyon,
Ano man ang sitwasyon,
tuloy ang edukasyon.